Hello, I am Charlene of the Rainbow Frequency. I'll say that again. I am Charlene, the Rainbow Frequency. I'm going live today, this morning, saying hi to everyone that joins. I'm not going to click the buttons, but I will try to read the two screens, Instagram and YouTube, to interact with you all, as well as give some of the messages and things I've been ruminating on in our current energies through, as well as an intuitive card reading for the collective. Again, tapping in to the energies that we're in currently. You know, these things can be timeless because really, time, what is that anyway? One could say it's a perception, amongst many things. Anywho, I am going to first check in and give you a bit. Let's see. Okay, here. That was easy. Okay, from Siddhartha, and again, it's backwards, but Siddhartha, but by Hermann Hesse. For example, there was a man at this ferry who was my predecessor and teacher. He was a holy man who for many years believed only in the river and nothing else. He noticed that the river's voice spoke to him. He learned from it. It educated and taught him. The river seemed like a god to him, and for many years he did not know that every wind, every cloud, every bird, every beetle is equally divine and knows and can teach us just as well as this steamed river. But when this holy man went off into the woods, he knew everything. He knew more than you and I, without teachers, without books, just because he believed in the river. That is to say that we all are divine. We can all access enlightenment, nirvana. We can all talk to God, Allah, any which, Krishna, Vishnu, any Ganesh, anything, semantics, labels be gone. We're all inclusive here, so let's not dilly-dally about what we call it, right? We can all access that higher consciousness where we can have that inner knowing within us, and that in and of itself is a beautiful divine gift that we all have access to. Like, it's one of those things where, sure, there have been special individuals throughout time who were spectacular at what they did, what they accomplished. And I'm, in part referencing spiritual people throughout history, individuals who were human that then became perceived or elevated to godliness. But that's the thing. Like, they were regular individuals, and I mean, I could go on ad nauseum. Let's say like Isis, Metatron, Jesus, all the Buddhas. So many great individuals through tapping in to that inner wisdom, that inner knowledge, that marrying, which I had a conversation this week with a lovely individual where through a card reading, it became clear to me when I previously would have thought that instinct, intuition were one and the same. There's a not quite. They're very close, and they go really well together so that it's almost so intertwined, hopefully, that you don't really notice the difference. But instinct is that inner knowing of action, like how to move, that way that we connect to the world around us and take in the signals, signs, needs, dangers, and are able to read the situation and move without really thinking about it. And that's one way of perceiving the inner masculine, the inner divine masculine. And then intuition is the divine feminine, that intuitive part, that inner knowing. And that's why it's often referred to as women's intuition. It's not simply for women, because we all have a divine masculine and divine feminine, yin and yang, amongst other things that comprise us as individuals that help us bob along in the sea of life. So again, I would love to interact with you all. So if you guys want to chat and like ask any questions or converse, I will try to read and see what you're saying. But I'm also going to babble it all out, that which I've been processing in these crazy, wild times that we're living through. It has been intense. It has been intense. So hi, YouTube, hi, Instagram people that have joined me. It's been quite intense. There's been, depending on where we are in our journey, our ascension process, our expansion, our enlightenment, whatever we want to call it, right? And this leveling up and this expansion of self, of gifts heightening, new gifts coming in, our senses becoming more heightened, it's one of those things where I've been chewing a lot on this. Some people don't have an inner voice, an inner dialogue, and that blows my mind. But I've been reading quite a bit about lots and lots and lots of things. And one of the things that I've stumbled upon, and this is where my glass is, I'm like, Christina R. But instinct is connected to our bodies, feminine, right? Well, that's what I'm saying. Our bodies are multifaceted in and of themselves, where we are both masculine and feminine within. So that's why it's important to not be in one body or the other, like overly focused on being only feminine if you're a female or not, or, again, genders. But what I'm saying is it's very important not to typecast yourself. There's not, from what I've gathered in a lot of my spiritual journey and been led to do within the process, is to balance my inner masculine and my inner feminine energies, so that I, as someone who's a spiritual guide, psychic, card reader, blah, 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 whatever. Again, I don't really want to label. There's so many ways to quantify, qualify, whatever it is that I am and what I do. And that in and of itself is a mystery unto itself. But basically, if I'm going to be a good channel, I have to blend both the instinct and the intuition together to do it in the material plane best, that yin and yang, that balance. Because it isn't just inner knowing, intuition, it has to then come out actively into the world. That's where, like, you can meditate all day long and get to that beautiful, blissful, it feels so heavenly, I'm in my heart space. But if you can't then put it out into the world and marry it into the material plane, you're still stuck in a way, because it's that blending of the two. And I tend to repeat myself. I'm sorry if you've heard this one before, but and Matilda's in my lap, so if my husband comes in the door, which he might soon, she'll bark, but bear with us. I'm not one person living alone on a mountaintop. It is that blending of the two together and that trusting that makes the magic happen. You know, like, I meditate, I get a song. I don't keep it in my head. I then sing it out. I use it. I get a dance. Here comes my husband. Here comes the Matilda. It's the blending of the two. I get a dance. I start getting the courage to moving my little feet, to doing it, to going places, to use it as instructed with the inner knowing to put forth out in the doing. You know, it's yes, please don't go crazy. It's okay. It's okay. Shh. It's all right. Stay put. No biggie. Force of will. We'll see if it works. Anyway, it's that then putting it forth outwardly, that's how it gets done, you know, because we have free will. Like, it's a combination of divine timing and the help that comes with our own interactions and movement in and of itself. And today's supportive little helper that I'm bringing to the table is the woodpecker. This is a feather from my yard, or perhaps a walk. But I constantly have a little woodpecker around me wherever I go. And I think I've said this also before, but they are teachers of finding your own rhythm and using it. They're percussive hunters. You know, they find their own rhythm. You could consider that they're divinely led to the right trees, to finding their food source, and then they peck away, listening and beating, and then they find the food, and that's their bliss. You see the black and the white. That is, again, that yin and yang, that balancing of the light and the shadow. Let's see, how many spots? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 spots. 11. Love it. Those two pillars, you know, the high priestess, she sits between two pillars, light and dark. And that's where, being in that liminal space, you can get the best guidance sometimes, right? I mean, we right now are we are right now in a liminal space between eras. Like we're leaving the Piscean era, we're moving into the Aquarian age. You know, it's not so quick. It's not so easy to be one and done, like moving on. No, it's a process. It takes its own divine timing. And you know, if you've lived through enough decades and you've watched, like, for example, fashion, it's not like, oh, here we are, it's next year, completely new fashions. No, you know, it's a slow transition of like, okay, now that is out, so to speak. And now this is what's on trend, and like in architecture, also art, all the things. Like, it's a slow transition through different ages, eras, trends, that it takes time. Again, time is not real, but at the same time, like, evolution is real, and it is a process. It is a journey unto itself. Now, I'm going to share right quick my cards that I got this morning. And then, because I really think too, it's not just mine, it can be collectively put out there. But I'm going to shuffle them back in and give you guys the card reading. So the Empress, cultivating. You've already built an empire around you, and now it's that nurturing yourself in the empire. Your environment would be another way of putting it. Equally, self-care, you know, that has been in many, many channels going on the uptick of people really promoting this being something to be an active, vital process to living. You know, we en masse have, through, how do we want to say this? Our current couple of years that we've lived through, if you are, well, you are watching this live. I'm used to doing these and then uploading them. But anyway, you're watching this live. So in the last few years, like, we've really had to reconsider how we do things, what we want to do, if we still want to do what we've been doing. And it's been quite a lot. And there have been a lot of people, like, I live in the United States, but I think worldwide, like, there are a lot of people who are leaving their jobs and deciding to do something new because they want to be lit up from within again, joyously, like doing something that means something. And also realizing that it isn't all about toiling away behind the desk, working. You should take the time to enjoy those around you that you care about, and have a work-life balance, a spiritual and practical life balance, bringing a lot of things to balance. You know, there have been a lot of behaviors, patterns. I know a lot of people who've given up alcohol or different things because they're just like, okay, I don't want that anymore. It's not good for me. I mean, myself, like, my body just does not like it. And I had to finally, at 43, say, you know what? I'm going to listen to my body. My body doesn't like this. Let's stop. I mean, I know it's fun and all my friends get to do it, but I can have fun without it, right? I mean, I can have lots of fun without it. So, it's not that much to miss, really. But I'm not trying to preach here. But it's that really the Empress, starting to treat your body like the temple that it is. And, this individual has this crown on, they're connected to that divinity of themselves and tapping in to being able to connect to source. There's an apple tree in the background. I have been trying to eat that apple a day. Eating more fruits and vegetables, that sort of thing. Just trying to have balance. The individual is holding on to the tree. So they're grounded, they're connected, they're rooted to the earth. But, they're also looking off into the horizon, in line with this vista, this mountaintop. And that's, again, that evolution. Perhaps I won't need to read tarot. We'll leave the tarot out. I'll just read you my tarot cards because that would be forever and a day. And I don't know that I have all that time. So the next card, Queen of Pentacles. So again, we're just going to read this like a little story, a journey. So starting with the Empress, and then we go to the Queen of Pentacles. And the Queen of Pentacles, I'm finding that sweet spot. There we go. The Queen of Pentacles, I'll give you a close-up. Bear with me, YouTube. Here you go. Oh, getting out of the glare. There we go. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Now let me have my turn. Channeling, taking my time. Bear with me. Okay, so again, this figure, they're naked. A lot of times, at least in my lifetime here right now, we've been taught to really be looking externally for that fix, for that help. And it doesn't come necessarily externally, or sometimes it does, but again, it's that marriage of it comes from within, and then it can also be matched outside of oneself. But the real goal of living is to be that for yourself. So these figures are nude because they're relying solely on their own self as they are, and they have a crown on because, again, they're connected to source. They're enlightened. They're connected to that divinity within. They're holding a pentagram, or they're holding this coin. It has six points that we see. I think they're 9 personally. So I think this is more of an enneagram, is what I'm getting. And to me, that is also like your protection, your power also comes from within, and it's connecting to your own frequency, your own flavor, your own composition, and working with that really, this cornucopia brings you that bounty, that treasure, all that you need. And then, again, their feet are on the earth. They're grounded. and then you see new growth around them, and then, you know, in the background, I'll give you close up. You see this castle. This is the overarching theme. This is, you know, where we are and what we need to be doing currently is building up in the material plane. Like, look around ourselves and see how far we've come. See how we've grown. And be thankful. You know, what hasn't killed you only makes you stronger, right? Like, amen, or what have you. Like, so while it might not be peachy keen jelly bean and roses, yes, naked body awareness, yes. While it might not be everything exactly as we would like it to be, perhaps, or things might not be easy to deal with around us, there is a certain need of being aware, of going within and seeing where we have accomplished a lot and what we have to work with, and sink into who we are, what we've got within us to work with, and put it to best use. A lot of talking, man. All right. The devil. Now, I, as a Capricorn sun, I love the devil card, personally. It's one of the cards that represents us. But it's about overcoming addictions, insecurities, that inner demon, overcoming that inner demon that feeds that sense of lack, and overcoming that. You know, as a Capricorn, it also, to me, heavily is that, like, balancing oneself to really coming into who you are. And that takes a lot of work. And again, you see this figure is both masculine and feminine. And they have the 6-pointed star. Again, I feel like when you look at it flat, you're looking at it flat. It's 3-dimensional. So we would have more points. You even see, okay. I'll put these down for a second. Okay, you see that that they're standing on is 2 different demons, one could say, but again, like, tomato. Like, to me, this is more so, in astrology, they talk about your 2 dragons being your north node and your south node. And there is a misconception that you're supposed to leave your south node behind to go towards your north node. But again, like, for me, it's been a marriage, and a lot of other people as well, not just me, but it's a marriage of these things. Like, you marry the 2 dragons together so that you can best get up that mountain, up that pinnacle to your success. I've had a lot of meditations where I have 2 wolves and they come together and they become a brindled wolf, or like two birds becoming like a mottled raven. You know, like, it's that in alchemy, coming together and being transformed. So that's, to me, this is representing that process of marrying those 2 dragons, the divine masculine and feminine, and, you know, overcoming the lack. It's also, one could say, like, ascending towards who you truly are. We tend to vilify a lot of things that it's just a part of an alchemical process, perhaps. King of Swords, which I will tell you, astrology-wise, okay, you know, Queen of Pentacles, Capricorn energy, or Earth's energy, Devil, Capricorn, and then we have the King of Swords, which is an Aquarius card. These were my cards this morning, but again, collective message. This would be rising Aquarius. I'm a rising Aquarius. This would be Aquarius energy. And currently, you know, we're going through a lot of retrogrades and kind of coming together in a lot of ways, individually and collectively, you know, like I talk to people around the world, and it's all the same message, the same conversation. We're all going through similar, different trials and tribulations, sure, but it's all the same theme, the same flavor, the same motif. And the Aquarius energy, it's that getting your mind together and right. It's a loving humanitarian energy, but also it's a balance of keeping yourself stabilized as well. Because you don't want to get too cool, too cold. Now I have this song, You Gotta Be Cruel to Be Kind, playing in my head, because that's a lot of times how they'll send messages is through songs, snippets. But so yeah, it's that balance of, yeah, sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind, but not really cruel. Let's take out that word. But it's that balance of, like, sometimes more articulately said would be healthy boundaries. It is good to say no. Healthy, loving boundaries in all things. Like, one of the things I've been meditating mantra-wise on is thank you for helping me have a healthy relationship with all things. Healthy boundaries, healthy relationships with all things. You know, whether I mean that energetically speaking, so that I don't have to absorb every person, thing, building, whatever that I come across, you know, like, yes, I can feel it. I can. Do I need to feel it at 11, like Spinal Tap, all the time? No. I can choose how much I want to feel. You know, like, for example, I watch TV with my family, and my husband and son sometimes want to watch things that are a little intense for me, that, you know, a little bit more action and adventure, and not all documentaries, like, in search of, you know. So sometimes as an empath, like, I'll be watching things and I'll have to have a little bit of that, like, shields up, Scotty, or like, I want a little bit more of a barrier between me and feeling the character on television's emotions, because let's be honest, that's a little much, right? So you can choose how much you want to let someone in or something in and still have them in your life and enjoy it. But like, another way of saying this would be, like, in relationships. Like, I still want you in my life, but I might want you a little bit further away or a little bit less, like smaller dosages, so that we can keep an equilibrium. That kind of thing. Say no when your heart really wants to say no, because that is the most compassionate thing that you can do in any relationship. The moon. My moon is in Cancer, so that's like the cards were like, this is the Charlene spread, but it's also your spread. So anyway, it was exciting to get all these cards this morning, is what I'm saying. And just so interesting sometimes when you really are looking and paying attention, you're like, whoa, nanu, that is some like Twilight Zone, how it all goes together, isn't it? I love it. All right, so the moon. Again, I was talking about how they're the two dogs. But, again, sometimes it's that marriage of the two dogs together. The yin and the yang, This individual has their feet on the earth. There's water behind them. So again, it's that marriage of being grounded as well as being held within the intuitive healing waters. That's where really when you're in the water, there's always, unless you're in like some glass vessel, perhaps, there's always going to be earth underneath you when you're in the water. They're not without each other. Kind of, here we have this torch in this individual's hand, and she's, connecting to the moon, but it's that sort of biorhythmic. The moon and the sun go hand in hand together. So the moon also goes through different phases of bringing in different energies. For me, I've really noticed there are times where I have a lot of energy in correlation to where the moon is, and when I don't. So I don't really sleep but so well. Neither do lots of people as you get towards the full moon, perhaps. So there's just different times where I will kind of have to set my expectations or be realistic, where I'm like, I'm not going to sleep this week but so well, so I might need to take more naps. The moon a lot of time gets a bad rap, in my opinion, where it talks about things not being clear. And perhaps that's true. It might not be in your face evident, but that's when you really sink in and listen. And it's that biorhythmic connectivity where you can get the deepest messages and get real illumination, because our eyes in the day-to-day world can sometimes deceive us, or we want to see things as in a certain light, or perhaps we see the potential, but we really have to sink in that inner knowing of if it's achievable. I would imagine as well. We also got the Emperor. So yes, again, it's a progression. It's a story. It's the needing self-care. It's the building up from your own self, your sense of worth and abundance, and then putting it to good use, letting go of your sense of lack and mastering your sense of self, having healthy and clear boundaries, knowing when to apply your energy, when not to apply your energy, when to sit and really process, and when to move, because then we have the Emperor. And this is more of an action, because once you've done all of those previous steps, then you can really go forth and build something new actively. You know, I keep getting the sense the dominoes are starting to tip. Things are starting to fall into place. You know, I have been getting a continuous chanting, be patient. Don't give up. Be patient. Keep going. You're already doing it. You know, hold the faith, hold your vision. You know, that's like keep, you know, but it's just also that it's not time yet. You're waiting. Like I get this sense of, you know, being in a train station or bus station, and I'm like having to sit there patiently and wait for the arrival of my departure, my being able to move finally and go where I'm going. I have to wait for that train to come so I can get on it. So it's that being patient and allowing, surrendering to the divine plan, surrendering to the timing, that it's not, as much as I might want to be my own charioteer and like through sheer force of will get myself to where I want to go, it doesn't work that way. You have to sit in the chariot with the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. And I like to think I am also sitting there with my higher self, and I'm just sitting back. I'm like, all right, guys, let's do this. Where are we going? I trust you. Let's go. Again, standing on a rock, grounded, holding this eagle, trusting that they're ready to fly. One way of looking at it. And again, hello everybody that's joined me. I don't always read cards in reverse, but I really liked this one. Because upright, this is a very uncomfortable, it could be perceived as a very uncomfortable energy, right? You're on the fire. Whew! Might not want to be there. You want to get off. But at the same time, like alchemically speaking, being in the flame is a very transformative place. But we are leaving that energy, and because we've done the work, I that's how I'm viewing that card. Knight of Coins is all about slow and steady progression. You know, haste makes waste. So let's have a slow and steady rebuilding a foundation, right? Like if we've just been through upheaval, I don't want like overnight success necessarily. That's a flash in the pan. I want a slow and steady build. I want to not be in a slapdash race to get there, because it's about processing and enjoying what you're chewing on. Three of Vessels, coming together, blending, building community, beautiful energy. And again, like I want a steady foundation for this blending of energies to really be well. How do I want to say this? I get the sense of like the night, if we want a slow and steady progression, you know, like say a river is being carved, you want like a nice, solid, steady furrow so that then the water flowing through it would have a clear channel to flow abundantly through. That's how they want me to say that. Each of these individuals, it could also be articulated, please stop, are each stable unto themselves so that when they come together and blend their energies, it's equally beneficial and stable altogether. And then, the last of the tarot cards, the epic tarot journey. Please stop, Matilda. Please stop. She wants to tell you what she has to say. Please do not. Don't. Please stop. Stop. Ace of Coins. It's a new beginning. Eek. New beginnings of going forward on a new adventure and beautiful, magical growth. Rabbits can speak of fertility, of the goddess energy, white purity. Let's see. We have these pink flowers, yellow, red, and then we have the green, you know, so just that heart chakra, grounded root energy, or root chakra energy, and then a whole lot of solar plexus, confidence, self-worth, going after that which lights you up and helps build that inner feeling of abundance. You know, it's kind of that sort of, you know, that tale we always hear where the person is making tons and tons of money, but there's no soul in it, so they feel a sense of lack even though they've made vast amounts of money. Because really, you have to have your heart in it for it really to be fulfilling. Moving along. Let's see. That was so long-winded, and I just went with it. Let's go to the stars. Let's put it back together. The Starseed Oracle. Matilda, come back. She won't listen. All right, Earth pulsing, pulse of the mother, slow down, time and nature. Do-do-do. Matilda, come here. That is some beautiful imagery, if ever there was. I can speak English. Okay. It's hard to really see it, perhaps, but I'm going to give you both close-ups. See how this being, there's several sort of layers to them? You know, multi-dimensional, multi-layered being. This very much speaks to me of Ophelia. I was a huge Anne of Green Gables fan, and the chapter where she goes in a boat surrounded with flowers down the river or down the little stream pretending to be Ophelia, I was like, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, I would love that. Put me there, please. And I am totally there with you. I would love to go downstream, dead, surrounded by flowers, being reborn anew. Oh yes. So this elates me. You know, it is to me. I keep having in my meditation me walking to the riverbank, getting into the river, going with the flow, and letting the universe, the powers that be, guide me through the currents, trusting. And also, because I've been working so hard on being cleansed and purified, I then, once I'm in this stream, instead of being in the boat already with the flowers, I get into the stream, and all that wishes to support me, bless me, is attracted to me, because I'm a magnet for my own success and prosperity, my own blessings, you know. So I'm drawing to me in my sort of light body, which is like delightful honey, then flowers, crystals, all sorts of beautiful things attach to my light body in a wonderful, beautiful way. And I become like this. And it's my own sort of way too of, I would suppose you could say, like being held within my sacred circle. You know, to me, I also get that sense of, you know, yes, it's important when you're doing meditation, doing any sort of this sort of work, you know, you have to ground yourself. You have to put yourself within your sacred circle. Then you connect with your spiritual family, your spiritual entourage, your spiritual team, source, however you want to say it. Now, for me, I see it more as being held within concentric circles. I have many supporters, many layers of protection that help me on my journeys. You know, like I do believe in fairies. I do. So for me, as I bob along down the stream, I have a delightful parade of angels and fairies and different light, higher frequency beings that support me and help me on my merry way. So do you, if you choose to acknowledge and accept. Last but not least, a yogic path. That being said, in real life, not just in meditative time, I do very much work with crystals. I find them very helpful. I like the fact that I keep getting heart-shaped crystals. This is Amazonite. Dalmatian jasper, amethyst. A lot of ones I don't know their names. This is desert rose selenite. Selenite's a great crystal if you want to start with one. It helps cleanse your environment, amongst many other wonderful properties. Shungite, very grounding, also protects against EMF and other interference. We got Buddha. Without any mud, there'd be no lotus, right? To paraphrase that one. Beautiful statement. You have to go down into the darkness, into the muck, to then rise up beautifully. Now let's read. All right. Buddha, one who is aware. Buddha is not just one person, but anyone who has an aware and blessed soul. Right now, that is you. You have woken up to your true self and let go of the illusions that were binding you to the material world. You have taken off the mask of security and given a good look into the vastness of your own soul. You have realized that nothing is inherently good or bad, but rather just is. You understand the non-dual nature of the world and are letting go of the judgments of the mind. Hold the knowledge that we are all Buddha nature. It just takes remembering. Yeah, that's, again, ties it all the way back to what I said in the beginning. And that is, we are all divine. It just takes remembering and tapping in. You know, a lot of us get caught up in living and working. And I've done this myself, numb ourselves with distractions. And if you have one life to live, which I don't believe we only live one life, make the most of it. You know, be completely here in the now, in your body, and connecting within. You know, I've said this before, and I will say these things over and over because it's very important. You know, like, really, you know, what is honor your ancestors? What is that? You know, you wouldn't be here without your ancestors. Now, I will say, having come from a family of some people that I really didn't love all the things they did, it took me a while to embrace looking into my ancestry. But boy, am I glad that I did, because that is a rich tapestry of different peoples that really illuminated a lot for me. And I would imagine there isn't anyone out there that, if they really dug into what makes them the composite being that they are, wouldn't find something valuable there. I mean, I double dog dare you, triple dog dare you. Take that. Duality, that's another thing. Like, duality, it's again, it's a fractal. It's a kaleidoscope of stuff out there. It's not just dual. I lost my train of thought, but crazy train. It's bringing all of that together, one of my favorite things was, there's the one tale of the Buddha who was in the stream having fasted and was trying to get to enlightenment, and they fell face forward and came to and realized, like, no, this isn't what it's about. It isn't about fasting and denying oneself. Like, they went back into the world and lived within the world and experienced and engaged, and that was the road to their enlightenment. And that's, again, that marriage of all of it together. You have to connect within, listen, meditate, if you will, have that spiritual time, have that family time, that work time. Like, it's blending all of that aspects together. And family can mean many things. Like, you can have friends that are your family. Dogs, cats are your family. Anyway, it's the blending all of it together to achieve that perfect temperance that really is what, to me, it's all about. But again, it's also the surrendering to what is and knowing it's part of the journey and it's part of the process. So you could fight it and thrash about and then sink in the stream. That's one way to do it. Ooh, I've done it. I'm still sometimes, depending on the day and the hormones and what, happens any given moment. I'll like have my own like, and then I have to like, hold on. You can do better than that. So I don't want to make it sound like everything's peachy keen. No, my basement flooded this week. It was quite an experience I had to face and come up with how we would handle it as a, life happens, I always have to remind myself, right? Like, you see monks, they're not always smiling and super like everything's groovy. No, they look a little austere sometimes, right? Sometimes things are serious, sometimes things are blissful, sometimes things are in between, and it's just riding the current and trusting that you've got it. You're divinely supported. And if you're not resistant to the aid that's around you, you'd be surprised what you might pick up. It doesn't always present in the most obvious of ways. Like, again, sometimes I get communicated through snippets of song. When I meditate, I will see colors, kind of feel colors, see orbs. I will have all sorts of things that at the time when I'm meditating, I'm like, I don't even know what that means. But then I have to really sit and unpack it. That's where you don't just like slapdash through life, getting there. You have to like go, sit with it, process it, go a little bit further. I said this in another one of the lives, but again, it's that labyrinth symbol that's present all over the place in many different religions, faith, folklore. Glastonbury Tor, the steps of the grassy plain going up to it from an aerial view is that labyrinth. And it's that in spirituality, it's that in, out, and back again to really get there. Because, it's getting to that stage of enlightenment, applying it to life. Getting to that stage of enlightenment, applying it to life. And getting there. So we as individuals are going through that in our own lives in various ways right now. the planets are conspiring with you, for you. That's my little reminder. Look at your birth chart. Look at where your planets fall. Because what you are comprised of, DNA and blood-wise, along with how the planets and stars are all configured at your time of birth, when read together, give you a very interesting composite view of yourself. And understanding, waving at all of you, understanding who and what you are is half the battle. Then applying it to the world is how you make your magic happen. How you create that legacy for yourself. You can put something out that's of benefit to yourself and the environment, which to me is what I'm here to do. I'd like to hope that you are too. That rhymed. But anyway, Flight Risk, thank you so much for your continuous support. Johnny, thank you for sharing your gifts. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here in this world with me and existing and sharing yours. And Instagram, hello to all of you. And thank you, everybody that popped in to watch the live with and be with me here currently, and the future people that watch this later. Again, these things are timeless, everything's relative, right? I always mean to say this stuff in the beginning, but I very much appreciate your likes, shares, interaction, saves, all of the above. I do offer personal readings. I am a shamanic energy balancer, which is to say that I can either do a guided meditation with you to help you in your healing journey for yourself, or we can interactively go through the healing journey with cards. Even just simply holding conversation is a healing journey unto itself. There are many different ways one can practice energy arts, and I really love working with individuals because each person is unique in how it gets done. So if you'd like to work together, I'm out here and available. I will never solicit ever. I will not DM you and tell you I have an important message from your ancestors or say Grand Rising, I have, but yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? So be wary of people who come on at you trying it that way. Discernment. But, there are many beautiful, wonderful people out there that help people if they need a little help getting there, because it's all about doing your own work. But sometimes having support can give you that push. But anyway, all the love, best wishes. Again, thank you, all of you, for being here. Have a great rest of your whenever you've come to this, and go team go. We're in it to win it. All of us together. All right. Ending now.